my supporters to the caucuses. And so I wanted to bring a buddy with me. And so I brought my mother, Dorothy Rock. She lives with Bill and me, and she's been following the campaign very closely and watching it on television. She has, a lot of questions that I try to answer the few times that I get back home to be able to talk about all of this. And we were talking about Iowa the other day, and we were trying to remember the last time she was in Iowa. And we think it was, this is going to shock some of you, about 53 years ago. And the reason we finally remember is because my late father was a small businessman. He had customers throughout the Middle West. And so he'd travel around the Midwest, and sometimes we'd go with him. We'd go, I remember one time on the train to Minneapolis. And we'd drive up to Milwaukee. And then one day he said, well, do you want to go to Iowa? And we said, yes. So we came to Iowa for sort of a mini family vacation, right, Mom? And we stayed at a place, the best we can remember, called the Tall Corn Motel. Does anybody remember the Tall Corn Motel? Do you remember the Tall Corn Motel? Thank you so much. Well, the reason we ended up staying there, in those days, I mean, this is like ancient history for some of the young people here, you didn't go on the internet because there was no internet. And you'd really just oftentimes started out driving and then figured out where you'd stay once you ended up. And as I recall, we were in a restaurant, and my mother asked the waitress, well, where's a nice place to stay around here? And so she said, well, there's the Tall Corn Motel down the road. And my mother said, well, what's it like? And she said, oh, it has a swimming pool. And we said, my brother and I, well, that's where we want to stay. And the swimming pool was about as big as this stage. And we spent the entire time, we thought we had died and gone to heaven. We thought it was the greatest experience ever. And so my mother and I were talking about this, and she said, well, do you think I could go back with you? And I said, sure. So I want to thank you for being here, Mom. Thanks for coming back. Is going to sit with you, and I really hope that all of us think about how we're going to get more and more people involved in the caucuses, because really, when you think about it, it's so important that we get as many people involved at the beginning of this process as we can, because the road to the White House starts right here in Iowa. And you have such an amazing opportunity and responsibility. And I started my campaign here in Iowa, right here in this high school. And some of you I know were there. And in the months since, I've had wonderful times, and so many of you have been kind enough to become part of this campaign. How many precinct captains do we have here tonight? How many of you precinct captains? Thank you so much. And how many of you have caucused before? Oh, that's great. How many of you have never caucused? That's great too. Because here's what we know from talking to thousands and thousands of Iowans, is that everybody who considers coming out and caucusing, if they actually do, we're going to do very well. Because there is a huge number of people who want to be part of this. But that's why we're spending our time in groups like this, talking about the caucuses and trying to get people to really commit to help bring other people. Because as I've traveled around the state, I have met so many people who've never caucused before. That's why we did the video, because a lot of people have said to me, well, I've never done it. And I said, well, why not? And one woman in Cedar Rapids last week said, I always thought it was kind of scary. I said, well, do you think it's scary now? And she goes, no, people have been explaining to me that it's not scary. Another woman said to me that she would like to come, but she takes care of her 90-year-old father who's bedridden. She goes, you know, I have somebody who sometimes comes in and helps during the day, but I don't have anybody at night. So where am I going to get anybody to take care of my father while I come? So I said, well, we'll help you find somebody to take care of your father, because we want to do whatever we can to help people know that they can participate, because this is one of the most important elections in our lifetime. And it's so I've been asking people as I've traveled around, well, why are you thinking of caucusing? And why are you willing to do this, even though you've never done it before? And I get so many different answers. You know, maybe it's because somebody doesn't have health insurance, and they feel like that's wrong, and they just don't know what they're going to do, and they hope and pray that we're going to be able finally to change that and provide quality, affordable health care for every single American. And they know that's what I am called to do. Sometimes somebody will say to me, well, you know, I have insurance, but it didn't do me any good. I had it, I paid my premiums, but when it came time to take care of my family, the insurance company wouldn't pay the bills. And I don't know how I'm supposed to be able to afford health care if I did what I thought was right, and I still can't. And they know that I want to change the way insurance companies operate. They can no longer deny people health care. They're going to have to provide health care for everybody, including transition conditions. And some people are thinking of caucusing because they are sick and tired of being literally over the barrel to those oil-producing countries, and they want to finally move on to energy independence and lower gas and energy prices. And I put forth a detailed plan about how I would do that, with a lot of specifics, not only about what laws we have to change, but what attitudes and habits we have to change. Because we all have to be more energy efficient. We have to turn off the lights. We have to unplug the appliances. We've got to start paying attention to how we use energy. And some people want to caucus because they are so concerned about global warming. And they know that if we don't start dealing with global warming, we're going to see more and more terrible consequences closer and closer to home. And won't it be nice to have a president who will actually say the words global warming and then work with the rest of the world to try to come up with some solutions? Some people are caucusing because they are really upset about No Child Left Behind and the way that it is so impacting our schools, our teachers, our students. They want a president again who will work as a partner to make sure that our schools are the best they can be. And they know I've done that for years, starting in Arkansas, where I helped to reform the education system and to, really put in place, better offerings with more resources and higher compensation for teachers to make it possible for children, no matter where they lived or who their family was, to have access to better educational opportunities. And a lot of people are caucusing because they want to make college affordable again for hard-working, middle-class